Let's be honest. The stress of the holidays and all the family stuff that goes along with it got you down. Well, don't you worry your pretty little head about it, because we've got a game that is so full of sugar, it's going to put you in the holiday spirit. It's the Chargers and the Broncos. The Broncos can punch their ticket to the postseason tonight. The Chargers need to get something going. They're stuck in a rut. We'll break it all down for you. It's the pregame power-up, and it starts right now. We are flexing our muscles. This game was originally Browns and Bengals when the season began, but thanks to the first ever Thursday night flex, what a good one between two teams on the verge of punching their tickets to the playoffs, and it all goes down tonight at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood with an AFC West showdown. Glad you are with us. Hope you're enjoying the third to last week of the NFL regular season. Welcome into the pregame power up here on DK Network. Trey Wingo here with Claudia Bellafotto. We have so much to get to. Marshall Newhouse will join us. Emerson Latzia will be here. We got an injury update that's very important in Kansas City. And a story, if it was about any other franchise in the Jets, you'd say that couldn't possibly be true. And then you realize the Jets, and it has to be true. But first, Claudia, we'll get to all of that later. Big showdown at SoFi. Chargers trying to sweep the season series from the Broncos.
Yeah, you talked about some of those injuries, some guys coming back on defense, which maybe has led to the under money. Over money, but the line moving the other way, so a little bit of a reverse line movement on the total. 43 3 days ago, down to 41. Denver, top 5 and overs. Chargers, though, second most unders, so a little bit opposite there when it comes to the totals.
Unders might be a big part of what we see tonight. We'll get to that a little bit later, but let's talk first and foremost about these Denver Broncos and where they are. They're on the precipice, which is easy for me to say. Well, when it's 79 degrees in here, trust me, we're doing the show in a sauna. They're doing something very, very well lately. They're at a 4-game winning streak into this one and appear to be hitting their stride. Over their last 4 games, they are outscoring their opponents 139-70. That is a plus 69 point margin, best in the NFL since week 11. They've won each of those games by at least 2 possessions, and with a win tonight, they will snap an 8-season postseason drought. And for a team that had a projected win total of 5.5 and almost $90 million in dead cap money, this season has certainly defied expectations. In fact, let's take a look now at the AFC playoff picture heading into this one tonight. Broncos holding on to that second wild card spot at 9-5, with the Chargers right behind them at 8-6. It's a win and in for Denver. For the Chargers, they will need a little help. Look, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight, and a loss by both the Colts and the Dolphins over the weekend, Claudia.
Yeah, a big one for LA with that win, the head-to-head tiebreaker over Denver. But they've hit a bit of a wall, Trey, as of late. Started the season 7-3. Now they've lost 3 of their last 4, including 2 straight. Their only win since week 12 was over Atlanta, where they didn't score an offensive touchdown. And that has been the story recently for this Chargers squad. The offense just not holding up their end of the bargain. Over the last 4 weeks, they are averaging under 20 points a game, down 10 points from the 4 weeks prior. The passing game has been on the downswing. The running game has been almost non-existent. You sort of need one of those things to put points on the board. But the real story is their inability to protect their quarterback. Justin Herbert has been sacked 15 times over the last 4 games, at least 3 times in each game, including 5 times against Atlanta. This could be taking its toll on their star quarterback, Trey.
Yeah, it is. You know, we hear so much about the situation with Patrick Mahomes' injury. We'll get to that a little bit later, but it is really, really banged up when it comes to Justin Herbert. So for more on this game, let's head out to our man on the streets. You know him, you love him. Emerson Latzia is there. Emerson, everyone talks so much about Kansas City's quarterback concerns going into this one, but Justin Herbert has really been banged up lately.
Yeah, he really has, Trey. And you can go back to earlier in the season when he suffered his first high ankle sprain, and it really did impact the offense with his lack of mobility. Players were on record saying it, so were coaches. So when he gets hurt 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs and then tries to play through it just last week, he did not look like himself at all against the Bucs. So tonight, he's going to change a few things up. He's going to put a new brace on his ankle, He's going to man up. He's going to power through it. He's going to play. And Greg Roman, his offensive coordinator, said that it's more than just the quarterback play that needs to improve tonight.
It's never fun to be able to, to deal with an ankle like that. But, I think the training staff has done a great job of making sure that I'm prepared to go out there and especially feeling safe and comfortable, taking those drops and making sure that I'm able to move. So I think having a good plan throughout the week and understanding and talking about it, I think that's put me at ease.
Nobody's happy about it. I don't think we performed up to standard there. Got to do a better job protecting our guy. And there's some other things, not just the blockers, running the routes, getting the ball out on time, all that stuff. It all factors in. And coaching, all of us, we're all part of it. We all take ownership of it. We got to do a better job. We got to run the ball better. We got to do better on third down. I could sit up here and tell you the truth. The truth of the matter is there's about 6 plays in the second half that were this close to being game-changing plays, and we got to make the play.
The team definitely has to protect Justin a little more than the past 2 weeks. In these last 2 games, he's been sacked 7 times. He's been pressured 37 times. The fans out here who I've talked to today, they're a little nervous. They've been offering me Mad Dog 2020. I think they're trying to ease their nerves just a little bit. Justin Herbert is obviously the face of the team, but who is the face? That's the wrong team. Who is the face of the franchise? Remember Boltman, who retired back in 2018 as the face when they were in San Diego? Well, guess what? Fans here still love him, still passionate about him, so we're going to talk to them about their unofficial mascot, and something tells me we will find Boltman.
Emerson, I have all the faith in the world in you, and I want you to know that. They're sweating out. The Chargers are their playoff implications. We're just sweating here in the studio. So we'll see what happens. We'll check back with you.
Out here, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll check back with you a little later on in the program. It's also perfect, the defenses for these two teams. They're absolutely phenomenal. These two defenses are tied along with the Eagles for the fewest points allowed in the NFL entering this game, 17.6 per. This will be the first game in NFL history between two teams tied for the lead in that category in Week 8 or later. They're also both in the top 2 in red zone opponent touchdown percentage. And you see Denver, led by linebacker Nick Bonito, have the most sacks in the league, Claudia.
We actually saw this matchup, Trey, not too long ago, back in Week 6. Chargers claiming the 23-16 victory in Denver. Chargers led 23-0 entering the fourth quarter of that game. They dominated time of possession in the first half, and they had as many points as the Broncos had plays. One difference tonight, though. Denver should hopefully have star corner Patrick Surtain for the full game. He had left that Week 6 game early with a concussion. Speaking of injuries, let's take a look at some of the notable ones. Chargers will be without Cam Hart and tight end Will Dissly, though they are expected to have Hayden Hurst off IR for this one. Denzel Perryman, also linebacker for them, coming back after a 4-game absence. For the Broncos, they'll be missing running back Jaleel McLaughlin, who's been a big part of their backfield as of late, and cornerback Riley Moss.
The Chargers are trying to do something they haven't done for a long time. They're trying to sweep the season series. You talked about them taking Week 6. The last time the Chargers swept the season series for the Broncos, Norv Turner was their head coach and Philip Rivers was their starting quarterback. You have to go all the way back to 2010. All right, we are very excited about what we're doing right now. It is time for something here new on the show. We started it last week, went really well, so we're going to keep doing it. We're calling it the Power Up Play Call, and it's giving you a shot at a $250 bonus bet on DraftKings. Here's how it works. It's very simple. I'm going to give you today's play call. Simply open up the DK Sportsbook app and enter the play call in the search bar. Then tap or click the link that comes up, and voila, you'll automatically be entered to win. But here's the key. You have to enter by the end of our show, and at that point, we'll notify one lucky winner we've randomly selected. Okay, so here it is. Today's Power Up Play Call is Holiday Hustle. Now, open up the DK Sportsbook and enter the code Holiday Hustle before the end of the show. Good luck. So that's the X's and O's on how we want to make sure everybody can enjoy a little, something extra.
A little holiday hustle.
A little holiday hustle for the game. For the actual breakdown on the field, let's go to a guy who's been hustling ever since he stopped playing, those 11 years in the NFL. You know him and love him as longtime NFL offensive lineman Marshall Newhouse. All right, Marshall, one thing that's been consistent about both of these teams, they can't beat good teams. In fact, the Chargers' only win over a team 500 was against the Broncos in Week 6. What does that tell you about these squads, if anything?
To me, that speaks to a level of inconsistency, both in the game from drive to drive and then week to week. You look at the Chargers, who had the Kansas City Chiefs on the brink. I mean, they should have won that game. But, Pat Mahomes pulls a Pat Mahomes. The offense creeps down the field, bleeds all the clock. And then the next week, they get blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so both of these teams, I think the Broncos being led by a rookie quarterback has more to do with that. But both these teams are just inconsistent, and they don't show up as the same unit every week.
One thing that has been consistent for the Broncos is getting pressure on the quarterback. One thing consistent for the Chargers is allowing pressure on their quarterback, Justin Herbert. So that's going to be the big matchup we're looking at tonight. Right now, Broncos blitzing at the second highest rate, second highest pressure rate. We showed all of those stats for Justin Herbert when it comes to the sacks. How do you see that matchup pairing out tonight, and how did they stop this issue for the Chargers O-line?
Well, you normally say lean into the run. I think Greg Roman has a history of that, but ever since they lost J.K. Dobbins, this offense really has been sputtering in the run game. Their actual attempts at running have been down, and the actual yards per game have been close to 60. And so that's the key, is to establish some kind of run game, and then you get Justin Herbert on the move, whether it's play actions, plan rollouts, quick releases. But they've got to find a way to beat this Denver defense, because Justin Herbert's a big target. He takes a lot of shots. He can take a lot of shots, but it's not what you want from your franchise quarterback, or he's not going to make it much longer doing this week in and week out.
Well, that's the problem, right? If you can't run, and the Chargers can't run, I think they have gone 4 straight games with fewer than 100 rushing yards, you're going to expose your quarterback. So what can they do to try and generate something on the ground against a really, really good Denver defense?
I mean, yeah, we're going to, again, I mentioned Greg Roman. He's got a lot of creativity in his offensive game plan, but this offense this year is in the bottom of the league, which doesn't feel right. We see the Ladd McConkey production. You see what J.K. Dobbins having a career year before he got hurt, and you're like, okay, they were leaning on the guys who were their strength, and then obviously Justin Herbert being an elite quarterback. But you lose those guys for any amount of time, and things just kind of grind to a halt. And so now he's got to get creative. You've got to find ways to manufacture some points, and then also control the clock. I think this is one of those games, especially with the flex and things being very, very different, that you're going to go to a more plain vanilla game plan. You're going to play ball control, and then you're going to take your shots when they're there. Quentin Johnston's going to have to step up. Gus Edwards is going to have to step up. But you need more from Greg Roman as far as manufacturing and scheming guys open on the back end against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
I was going to ask you that because it's clear that Gus Edwards is not as comfortable as J.K. Dobbins was in that RB1 role. Ladd McConkey, as we know, has emerged as their top guy, but Pat Surtain's probably going to be on lockdown with him. You mentioned some of the other options, Quentin Johnston being one of them. How much confidence do you really have, though, in those other receivers with a banged-up Justin Herbert?
Listen, when they've had to call on these guys, they've answered, but not for full games. Again, I go back to the inconsistency. They need these guys to produce for an entire 4 quarters to close games out, because they have been there against the better teams to actually win these games at the end. But if you don't have guys who will close, who will get open when they need to get open, who will make the block, who will make the right read, then you're not going to beat the best teams in the league, and you're ultimately not going to make the playoffs and make a run. So, guys like Quentin Johnston, Palmer, Gus Edwards, he's going to have to carry the ball and actually be dynamic running the ball tonight. That he's kind of, as you alluded to, he's kind of not seen his normal self. He's a bruising back. He can punish teams on the ground, but they've got to find a way to get him in space and convert first downs and just get themselves set up for another go-around so that Greg Roman can dial something up.
All right, so who do you like tonight? As we said, the Chargers won in Denver. They were up big, and then Denver came back in that game. They're going for the season sweep, but the Chargers have sort of fallen on hard times. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Who do you like?
I think with just the flux of the schedule, I think the home team on Thursday night has a distinct advantage. So give me the Chargers, despite them having a few of their key guys out.
Yeah, that's interesting, because if the Broncos lose, then suddenly this idea of them getting into the postseason, when you look at the rest of their schedule, becomes a little trickier. So we'll see what happens. Marshall, thanks. We'll check back with you a little bit later on the program about other things around the league. Lots more coming here on the pregame power-up, though. Both of these quarterbacks have found their go-to guys. Sutton and McConkey have dominated their team's targets in the latter half of the season, but one of them could be getting the ball difficult tonight. We'll break it down for you next on the pregame power-up, as we are about to start Week 16 of the NFL season.
got 3 games to win 1, but that's not the way you want to look at it, right?
Yeah, we got 3 games to win 3 and go into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl.
Okay there, Bo. He won't be satisfied with just a win tonight, obviously, but it would certainly make Bronco fans happy. 8 seasons is the second longest playoff drought in the NFL behind the Jets, who haven't seen the postseason since 2010. And we will talk about the Jets later. By the way, the playoff drought for the Broncos since winning Super Bowl 50 after the 2015 season, it's the longest playoff drought in NFL history, following a Super Bowl victory twice as long as the next closest teams. So as we continue here in the pregame power-up, if you're just going on historical trends, things would seem to be looking like they are in the Broncos' favor to get it done tonight. Just take a look at some of these numbers. The Broncos are 11-3 against the spread this season. That is best in the NFL. They are 6-1 against the spread in road games. That's second best in the NFL. They have covered in 5 straight games. And then look at the head coach, Sean Payton. Sean Payton's record against the spread is 32-15-1 since 2018. And in case you were wondering, yes, that is the best mark for any head coach over that time frame. So those are the trends that Denver brings into SoFi as they try and go out of SoFi with a victory. Now, Bo Nix has had some ups and downs. Look, he started a little slow, then really hit his stride. They came off the bye last week and was not great for the first half. He threw 3 interceptions, but then really turned it around. And Nix's ability to shake off the bad plays and just sort of stay focused is something that he takes pride in, and that resiliency has impressed his head coach.
Well, I've had a lot of reps at it. I've had, many mistakes in my lifetime, going all the way back to 7th grade when I started playing. You throw picks and you got to move on. And, I've been on the opposite and shown bad body language. So, it's just reps and just resiliency and just learning that, you're going to get a new opportunity. You got to flush it and move on to the next. And, hopefully you keep from doing it again. And, whatever happens, whether good or bad, they're looking at you.
There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to have, you're pulling the trigger still, and then when you look at the tape, you study the feet, the progression, what you saw, how you arrived, that kind of thing. And occasionally, look, I think the first interception we threw against these guys was, a low ball that got deflected. So you bounce back, and at that point, you've got to have a short memory.
Okay, that was something really cool that Sean Payton just did, and I hope people caught that. He said in that first interception, we threw, not he threw. He said we threw. That's coaching right there.
Team accountability.
Coaching all the time. You love that from Sean Payton. Nix has struggled a bit over the last 3 weeks, and that means Jaden Daniels has started to pull away in Offensive Rookie of the Year odds. He's thrown more picks than touchdowns over these last 3 games. He's got 2 interceptions in each of his last 2 games, after only throwing 2 over the previous 10 weeks. A solid performance tonight, though, against LA could put him back in the race. So, Claudia, tell us how he may go about doing that, please.
All right, Trey, let's take a next-gen look at how this Denver Broncos offense may try to move the ball against the Chargers. One thing we do know, they may struggle on the ground. Not so much about the Chargers. They're about middle of the pack against the run. It's more about Denver. They've recorded just 4.1 yards per rush this season. That's the 10th fewest, resulting in negative 28 rush yards over expected. Their 38.6 rush success rate is the 8th lowest this season. Now, when it comes to the passing game and Bo Nix, we've seen one thing in particular. He has found success against zone coverage. Since week 5, completing 74.2% of his passes, which is the 4th highest, while recording a 106.7 passer rating. That's 4th highest, and 12 touchdowns against zone over that time. Now, the matchup specifics tonight, Chargers have used zone coverage at the 4th highest rate in the league, 78.9%, and they've allowed 42.4 success rate when doing so, the 4th lowest. Courtland Sutton, usually the guy that Bo Nix looks to first. The only issue is he could struggle tonight because of that zone coverage. Look at how these numbers take a hit. That quarterback rating there really speaking to that struggle. So who could benefit? Possibly Marvin Mims on the other side here. Bo Nix passer rating, 131.6 when throwing to Mims against zone coverage. That's the highest with any Denver wide receiver. Mims, 12 catches, 218 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. He is finding some life as of late during the Broncos' 4-game winning streak, so possibly could benefit with this zone coverage tonight.
Claudia, well done. As you mentioned, regardless of the matchup, Courtland Sutton has been on a tear since week 8, and that's right about when I traded for him in my fantasy league. I'm just saying. He has twice as many targets as the next closest Denver receiver, nearly 3 times as many yards, and twice as many tutties. On the season, he leads the team with 878 receiving yards. No other Bronco has more than 400. Now, for the Chargers, their go-to guy is a rookie, Ladd McConkey. He's LA's slot machine. He's recorded at least 52 receiving yards in each of his last 7 games. He leads the team with 63 grabs and 873 yards on the season. And he's top 4 among all rookie pass catchers in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. He is the most successful Chargers rookie receiver since Keenan Allen, Slayer, back in 2013. McConkey is 9 catches and 174 yards away from passing Allen for the most by a Chargers rookie in franchise history. Tonight, McConkey's props receiving yards bet is set at 68.5, second highest total to last week when he went under 70.5. Just a couple other things we alluded to there. He's had at least 50 in his last 7 games. And looks like he's on pace to join John Jefferson and Keenan Allen as the only 3 rookie 1,000-yard receivers in Charger history.
It's funny because everyone was so worried about the Chargers, taking away weapons from Justin Herbert. Nobody was thinking about Ladd McConkey and the type of season he would have.
Absolutely great pickup.
All right, let's take a look at some of these betting splits for tonight. It's interesting to look at the bets on the over. 61% of the handle, 59% of the bets, but like I said, a little bit of a reverse movement there. As far as the Chargers to cover, 51% of the bets, some more money coming in that way. Money line around 50-50 on both sides for a prop. We're seeing Herbert under, seeing some action there, 89% of the handle, 82% on the under, 233 in the hook. For more on the liability, the DraftKings Sportsbook is seeing tonight. We turn to our anonymous sportsbook informant, Captain Book.
On the Thursday pre-Christmas, the start of week 16, the captain gives tonight's keys. Getting two-way action, sharps and squares bet over, book hopes this stays under, spreading bets at +3, juicers betting LA. Let's count down the stats. 12 days to New Year's, 11 Bronco covers, 10 Charger covers, 9 Denver overs, 8 Dicker long field goals, 7 points of margin last game, 6 Sutton touchdowns, 5 Denver covers straight, 4 Bonick scores, 3 road L's, 2 division wins, and Sean Payton found his new breed.
All right, I've been very critical of Captain Book at times. That was really good.
That got me the spirit, man.
That was really good.
Great.
That was
Bravo,
really good. Well
Captain
done,
Book.
Captain Book. Well done. You've earned yourself an appearance on Monday. Congratulations. All right, let's head out to the DraftKings trading floor in Las Vegas, where we find former NFL wide receiver and current VSiN analyst Mike Pritchard, who had a smile on his face. I think you enjoyed that.
he liked
well,
it.
Right? You enjoyed that?
I did.
All
Absolutely. Get me in the Christmas spirit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so it's definitely the Christmas spirit when Bo Nix throws to Courtland Sutton and when Justin Herbert finds Ladd McConkey. We talked about the numbers and how significant they both are to their quarterbacks. But can that be detrimental at times if you're relying on one guy too much?
You know, Trey, I don't think so. I mean, at this point of the season, you got to go to your playmakers. You got to find ways to get them the football. I think Sean Payton certainly is trying to do that, help out Bo Nix on that side of the ball for the Denver Broncos. J.K. Dobbins goes down, so now you got to have guys step up for the Chargers. Quentin Johnston, for instance, Ladd McConkey. I mean, Palmer, too. All these guys have to step up, so it can't be detrimental. I mean, you have to feature the guys that can make the most plays for you.
You mentioned Ladd McConkey as one of those guys, and Pat Surtain is a player that makes a massive difference on the defensive side for this Broncos squad. We saw him leave that early game back in week 6. We're assuming, right, that he's going to be shadowing Ladd McConkey. How do you see that going? We've seen Ladd have a handful of 100-plus yard games, but this is a tough matchup for him.
It would be. I think, you know, if you're the Chargers, you got to move Ladd McConkey around the line of scrimmage. You cannot allow Patrick Surtain to kind of shadow him, like you mentioned, Claudia. If he does do that, I think there's a liability issue, though, for the Broncos in that secondary, because the other side of Patrick Surtain, is poor. I mean, I wish I could put my cleats back on and go back out there and play opposite of Patrick Surtain. But no, I think that could play into the hands of a struggling Chargers offense. If you're going to take one of our guys away like that, then all of a sudden, like I mentioned, Quentin Johnson, you have to step up. The running back side, out of the backfield, you have to step up. Certainly Palmer, you have to step up. So I think the Broncos will do that in spots. I think they'll take chances where Surtain matched up on Lad Conkey that way.
All right, let's talk again about the lack of a running game really for both of these teams, but specifically the Chargers. I think they only had, 32 yards on 11 attempts, which is kind of minimal. Granted, they were behind in that game, so you understand how that happens. But how does a lack of a running game show up and affect the rest of the offense?
Well, now you're dropped back, Trey, and that right there, for a defense, you're just going to pin your ears back, and certainly for a coordinator like Vance Joseph, he can come up with schemes, he can come up with blitzes, designs to kind of mess with your drop back. So you're not balanced, right? You're one-dimensional. So that's where the Chargers have not adjusted. I thought there's enough time between the injury from J.K. Dobbins to now that the Chargers would be able to evolve and certainly adapt offensively, but that has not been the case. They're still struggling that way. And Justin Herbert, he's getting banged up back there. So they have work to do against this vaunted Denver Broncos defense.
As far as betting this game goes, books are basically saying it's going to be a tight one. We saw it get to 3, some buyback down to 2.5. I know you like your underdogs. We have seen some big bets at the DraftKings Sportsbook on Denver to win straight up. Home teams 41-50-1 against the spread on Thursday Night Football since 2019. Which way are you going here, Mike?
I'm going with one of my former teams, Claudia. I mean, back in the day, my former team 3-leg parlay was money. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. They're not a dog this year with Atlanta, certainly in Seattle, but Seattle is. But Denver, they're in a perfect dog situation, I believe. And I know it's a short week, but they're scoring almost 34 points a game the last 3 weeks. I think Bo Nix has been given keys to the entire playbook. Early on, Sean Payton was governing Bo Nix, but now he's letting him play, letting him make mistakes, and letting him play freely out there. So I think Bo Nix gets the job done tonight, at least from a point spread standpoint.
All right, so let's go from point spread to total points. As we said earlier, these two teams tied with the Eagles for the fewest points allowed per game, 17.6. The total has been dropping all week. Does this feel like an underplay for you?
It kind of does. I mean, I'm going with the line movement here. It's been a struggle for the Chargers to score points. It's been a struggle for them to have, consistency offensively. So I don't know if that's going to rev up automatically against the Denver Broncos defense on Thursday night. Broncos have everything to play for. Coach of the year for Sean Payton, certainly Bo Nix in that running for Rookie of the Year too. So playoffs and then also double-digit wins. I mean, the Broncos have not had that for a number of years. So there's so much motivation on the side for the Broncos, and I think it's going to be an underplay.
Okay, they've talked so much, Denver, about getting it done tonight. But if they don't get it done, their final 2 games of the season, they got to play at Cincinnati, and then they got to play the Chiefs, who may still be fighting for the #1 seed. There's a lot of pressure on Denver to get this thing done tonight and get into the postseason.
Absolutely right. And this is the one that you want. I mean, it's a divisional opponent. You're familiar with them. You're pretty confident with your quarterback. This is the game that you have to get. It's a short week. We get that. And the travel's not so severe. But I think the Broncos are feeling good about themselves, whereas the Chargers, they have all the questions and a little bit of pressure on their side, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've lost 3 out of 4 and gave up 40 at home last week in that loss to the Bucs. All right, Pritch, I would pay for you to go put on your cleats up. And
I would love to see it.
Like Patrick Surtain right now. We'll see what happens. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
Pritch was really good back in the day, just so people know. Well, last week, Justin Herbert joined Peyton Manning as the only players in NFL history with 20,000 or more passing yards in their first 5 career seasons. Herbert needs 437 in his final 3 games to pass the Hall of Fame quarterback for most all time. But as we know, the yard things have been an issue for the Chargers all season long, averaging just over 302 yards per game total this year, the worst in Herbert's era in the Chargers organization.
That's not good. We'll try to turn things around tonight. When we come back, we're going back out to LA, where we find Emerson Latia among the people. He's got a breakdown of this Chargers tailgate scene and answers the most important question of who exactly is the Chargers mascot? Does anybody know? I'm a little scared. What did they say they're trying to give him out there?
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
All right, so this is the second time Chargers fans, who supposedly exist, had to change their plans this season after being flexed into a primetime game. They previously moved their Week 11 matchup against Cincy into Sunday Night Football, but they're still out there doing their thing to get ready for this one. And that is where we find our man in the streets, none other than Emerson Lazio. Now, Emerson, the last couple of seasons, we've been introduced to this amazing woman who's this super Chargers fan that gets all excited the entire time. But apparently there are others out there who are just as excited.
Oh, indeed, my man. This place is absolutely rocking right now. So during my hardcore research and prep for this game, I discovered that the Chargers are one of 4 NFL teams without an official mascot. So it's the Chargers, Packers, Jets, and Giants here. And I said, what about that Bolt Man guy? Well, in 2018, the guy who was behind the mask for 20 plus years decided to retire. I said, okay, let's go around, let's find out from these fans who their mascot is, and this is what they told me. Who do you consider the mascot, the official mascot for the Chargers?
And the boat person. The boat man.
Bolt Man?
Well, Bolt Man. We have an official mascot.
Oh, who is it?
It's Bolt Man.
It's Bolt Man.
That's right.
Comes to most of the home games. You see him with the mask. He brings energy. You'll see him in Thunder Alley. He represents a whole. He's started from San Diego, and he's here with us in LA.
So Bolt Man is still a thing? I'm receiving conflicting reports.
That's it.
Have you guys ever mingled with Bolt Man, this man of mystery?
He comes around and he comes and he says hi. We know him personally.
Should the Chargers embrace Bolt Man and actually make him the official mascot of the team?
Yes, they should do that.
Bolt Man's like Santa Claus.
All right.
He's an entity, not an individual. So Bolt Man doesn't have to be a single person. See him in the tailgate. He's gonna hype everybody up. He needs to be in there. He needs to be on camera.
This is incredible. We're about to find Bolt Man. Who is this masked hero who has overtaken the role?
I can't tell you that.
Well, you didn't have to tell me that because we have breaking news here on DraftKings Network. This feels like Christmas morning. It feels like I found Sasquatch. Oh my God! Bolt Man!
Come on, Charger fans!
Let's go! You are real in the flesh.
Let's go,
So,
baby!
tell me, do you consider yourself the official mascot of the Chargers?
There's only one mascot out there for the Chargers, baby, and it's the Bolt Man. 30 years strong, representing our team, baby. We're never gonna quit. I'm here every goddamn game, and I'm never gonna stop, baby. Charger Bolt family all the way.
That's incredible. You have people comparing you to Santa Claus. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel amazing, though. I ain't got nothing on Santa Claus, though, man. He takes care of all the kids. I'm just taking care of the kids here in the alley.
That's
and
right.
Electric Avenue, baby. We're gonna make sure they're all taken care of.
That's right. How much pressure do you feel being the face of Electric Avenue and an entire franchise?
No pressure at all, baby. I welcome it. I want it. I represent it all the way, baby. That's what we do here. I'm Bolt Man. That's Electric Avenue, and we're charging Bolt family, baby, all the way.
You are a hero, Bolt Man. Hey, listen. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Never die, baby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Bolt Man, baby.
Yeah.
God, I love you, man. I love you. Well, hey, electric interview.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you as well. You got fans over there waiting for you, dude.
Right now, man. Love you guys. Peace out.
Bolt Man, you guys can have them back now. You guys can have them. Look at this. Man of the people right here, Bolt Man, putting an entire NFL franchise on his shoulders, the face of the LA Chargers, Trey.
Emerson, that was sheer voltage. It was amazing. And the only thing I can think of, the only difference between Santa and Bolt Man is that Santa would never get us in trouble with the FCC. So other than that, everything is just fine. As always, sir.
I mean, I think he was all right.
He was
for
good.
the most part.
He was
okay.
good. He was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
No, yeah.
You were
I don't
great.
think he dropped any F-bombs or anything.
You were great.
We're good.
You were great. Listen to me. You were great.
I love you.
I love you
Thanks,
too.
Dad.
Safe travels. Get home safe, son.
Oh, God.
But we wouldn't have a show without him.
We
wouldn't have a show without him.
I feel like I was just invading your bromance right there.
Hey, listen, it's the holidays. You got to embrace that stuff.
Oh, no, it's nice.
Lean into
Sweet.
it. You just got to lean into it. Okay, we got to move on to something else, even though that was my favorite part.
Should we?
I don't know if we should, but we're going to. We got a quarterback change we got to talk about, and it's happening at a team that desperately needs it at this point, Claudia.
Yeah.
After another lackluster performance from Kirk Cousins against Las Vegas, the Falcons have seen enough. He goes to the bench. Coach Raheem Morris made the decision on Tuesday to bench Cousins and start rookie Michael Penix this week against the Giants. Cousins attempted only 17 passes against the Raiders on Monday night, had one tutty, but threw another interception. Atlanta won the game, but it wasn't enough to save Kirk's job for the rest of the season. The touchdown was his first in 5 games compared to 9 picks over that same time frame. He became the first quarterback with 1 or fewer touchdowns and 9 or more interceptions in a 5-game span since Brett Favre in 2005. Cousins was signed to that 4-year, $180 million contract in the offseason, which is really a 2-year deal, which means the Falcons have some dead money to work against them next year. Here's what both the quarterbacks, the benched one and the new starter, had to say about the change.
I didn't forget how to play quarterback. Certainly the turnovers were not what you want, but I didn't forget how to play.
I was actually shopping. I was shopping with my girlfriend. We was at Costco, and I got the call, and they told me that I was going to be the starting quarterback, for the rest of the season. And as you can imagine, it was some nerves, it was excitement, but I'm just super blessed to be in this position. Super blessed to be on this team for the opportunity.
We had been searching. We've been digging as much as we can dig in order to make things work and try to get things going, and then. Just last night came to the point that she wanted to make the decision, make the move. We wanted to play better at quarterback, and we felt like we got a chance to play a little bit better. And if we can go out there and play better at quarterback, who knows what can happen,
Again, they have the tiebreaker with the Bucs. But can I just say, I don't know how you feel about this, and we'll get your opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Penix found out he was going to be the starting quarterback with a phone call at Costco while eating a Costco hot dog. America has found their quarterback. America is behind Michael Penix at this point.
So you know how I look at this? The management got so much flack because they made this decision after signing Kirk Cousins to bring in Michael Penix and draft him, and they're probably a slight part of them were like, see, we were right to do that. See, we had a plan.
And Penix on a rookie contract going to Costco. Smart. Yeah. And the hot dog. Marshall, I don't know how you feel about it. As we welcome back Marshall Newhouse. If you don't eat a hot dog at Costco, I don't even know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I agree. I guess you could say that Michael Penix has that dog in him.
Oh, bang! Nicely done. And you got that frog in you from your days at TCU, so nicely done. Let's talk about Penix. What are expectations now? Because he's coming into a pretty pressure-packed situation these final 3 games.
Yeah, I really wish they had made this decision a week earlier. I mean, the writing was on the wall. They had a chance to give him a full week of prep before the Raiders, but they decided not to. And then Kirk Cousins goes in there and lays a stinker. They only scored 15 points against the Raiders, and now Michael Penix is rushing his preparation for his first start in the NFL. So I would like for him to get a little bit more experience, a little bit more time. But hey, this is the NFL. The clock's ticking. Both on this situation with their standings in the division, but also his career. I mean. Listen, he's not old by any stretch, but relative to rookie quarterbacks, he is a higher age. And so there is a ticking time clock on the advantageous level of a rookie QB deal. And so they have to find out real quick his ceilings, edges, what kind of pressure he can take, and is he mentally prepared to lead this franchise? They did all that work of due diligence on the front end, but it doesn't matter if he just goes out there and it just looks bewildered. And so I'm looking for him to play well. That's what he showed in college. He led his Washington team, led the Indiana team before that. And so he's got accuracy. He's got all the intangibles. They drafted him for a reason. He was high pick for a reason, but now he's got to show it in under adverse conditions.
And he probably knew this was coming sooner than later, too, because not only did you have Kirk Cousins coming off that Achilles, but he is an aging quarterback, which makes you think of another quarterback that was struggling for pretty much the entire season until last week. The Jets decided to start playing real football. Devontae Adams close to 200 receiving yards. Aaron Rodgers with a big game. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. And of course, everybody's looking at this Kirk Cousins situation, sort of comparing the two. They asked him what Aaron Rodgers thought about his role next season. Here's what he said.
I think all of us, whether we got a guy behind us itching to play or not, there's, when they drafted Jordan, I felt like I was one bad stretch from being benched, and I, won MVP a couple years. So that's the way the league is. You got to prove it. You can play every single week and through stretches. So if they asked me back and they drafted a guy, I'd mentor the hell out of him if I was playing, and I'd try and play as well as I could to keep him on the bench.
Now, you played with him, of course, Marshall. What do you see in him as a mentor, as an elder on the team, and where do you see him next year?
Listen, there's so much in the ether about Aaron Rodgers, the things that he said, things that he's done. But the thing that I do remember consistently from my time there was he was a very thoughtful person. I think there's been clips coming out from his Netflix documentary about just the level that he didn't want to treat Jordan Love the way he felt he was treated by Brett Favre. And I understand that. I think he understands that there's a balance between that mentorship given that situation, but also it's like, I'm not giving this to you. I'm still going to try to compete. Now he's 41 going on 42. We'll see what that looks like. We'll see where he does that. But I get that he genuinely would like to help a younger guy. At this point, with his legacy the way it is, having gone to the Jets after the Packers, that's kind of all he has left unless they make some drastic run in New York, which, as we see, their organization is not set up to do.
Well, to that point, Marshall, what a perfect segue from you. And, Aaron has said maybe he'll take a pay cut to stay with the Jets. Maybe he should just up his Madden rating because the article came out in the New York Times today that, according to the New York Times, Jets owner Woody Johnson nixed the trade that would have brought them Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos because Woody Johnson did not like the Madden rating Jerry Jeudy had in the Madden video game. And look, you can have concerns about why Jeudy might not have been a good player. He wasn't great in Denver. He's turned out to be really good in Cleveland. But come on. You cannot have the owner of a team telling his football guys, yeah, I don't like his Madden rating as the reason for this trade not going down. If we said this about any other team, Marshall, you'd say you're making that up. I believe it wholeheartedly because of the Jets. As a former player, can you just explain to people how crazy this is?
It's bizarre, and I think a lot of the talk from players who spoke to Diana Rossini, who wrote that article, explained how bizarre and how weird it all is. The involvement of Woody Johnson's sons in seemingly some day-to-day activities. I think that's not even the craziest part, the Madden part, but the fact that years ago when they were 10, 11, 12, the boys were just in on meetings free and clear in this professional setting, and that's just not how you want to run things. And then the way that it feels like they treated Robert Saleh on the way out, regardless of how you feel about Robert Saleh, reports that he was forcibly ushered out of the building by security, just seems so crazy, excessive, and just unbecoming of what we like to think of as football. Because yes, guys get fired. Yes, people move on. But there's a way you treat people from the day-to-day standpoint. And between him, Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, and the players, it seems like top-down Woody Johnson doesn't seem to be very locked in on what it takes to actually win. And that is proving itself on the field. I mean, there's no better argument for why the Jets are the way they are than their record over an elongated period of time. It's just that simple.
Yeah, not locked in, falling apart at the seams, whatever way you want to put it. The Chiefs are the exact opposite, Marshall, because they have gone through every single obstacle this season, and now they're getting healthier. They're getting Hollywood Brown back. Mahomes just cleared with that ankle, and I know we had the discussion of whether or not he should play. They are favorites against the Texans. Do you think they're going to have him play to get some of those reps going with Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Listen, Andy Reid has said if he can go, he'll go. We talked last show about Pat Mahomes' trainer and the preparation they do before he ever gets injured with handling these injuries. And then ultimately, I think there's a level of getting Hollywood Brown in some level of acclimation with Patrick Mahomes in this offense because, again, they are always thinking big picture. They're thinking playoff run. They're thinking seeding. And so, yes, they're going to be smart. If it's iffy, he won't go, but it didn't look like he was on the injury report in the same way he was before. But to me, the bigger problem, the bigger concern is the fact that DJ Humphries is still on the injury report. Their left tackle situation and why Pat Mahomes keeps getting his ankles and other parts of his body rolled up, to me, is the bigger concern, given how much he's been getting hit lately.
Yeah, they got two great pass rushers in Houston. Then they got to play T.J. Watt, and they finish up with Denver, who have more sacks than anybody. That's the real issue. All right, Marshall, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks very much. We've talked about the struggles of these two teams playing tonight when it comes to the run game. We've got some numbers in Denver that invoke the name Latavius Murray, the L Train. We'll close out the show with what you like to know, the data dump, coming up next. All right, guys, if you missed it at the beginning of the show, this is your last chance at winning the $250 bonus bet. It's on us. I gave out the PowerUp play call Holiday Hustle earlier, and you have until the end of this segment to enter to win. Here's how it works. Simply open the DK Sportsbook app, enter the play call in the search bar, tap or click the link that comes up, and you'll automatically be entered to win. We'll notify one lucky winner we've randomly selected when the show is over. You got less than 5 minutes, so get to it.
Go, go, go. Let's take a look at how people are betting the anytime touchdown market tonight, which you could use your free bet on. Cortland set up there, plus 160. Lots of plus money, actually. Nobody laying juice as of right now. Javonte Williams, plus 145. Gus Edwards, plus 150. Lots of options for you at the DraftKings Sportsbook. For more on how people are betting Thursday Night Football, here's DKN social media correspondent Megan Townsley.
What better way to kick off NFL Week 16 than an in-division matchup between the Chargers and the Broncos? I went through the DraftKings Sportsbook betting groups to kind of see which side or bettors were leaning towards. Nope, we got bets on both sides of the ball, so I'm going to show y'all some of my favorites for tonight's game, starting in the DK Network betting group where Hunter Scochillis, he built his own same game parlay, starting with taking Broncos plus 3.5 spread alternate, Cortland Sutton, 50-plus receiving yards, and rounding it out with Ladd McConkey, also 50-plus receiving yards. I'm not going to lie, Ladd has been one of my favorite players to watch this season, so 50-plus receiving yards should be easy for him. I'm liking the same game parlay, but let's go to a different betting group, the Barstool betting group, where Rico Bosco, he's picking someone that you may not have heard of. Stone Smart, anyone, as an anytime touchdown scorer? That's the backup tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers, and that's why I love these betting groups, is because you see bets, parlays, and picks that maybe you would have never thought about, and it's so easy that you can just tail this bet if you want to, and all you have to do to find these betting groups is open up the DraftKings Sportsbook, click on the social tab at the top, and then hit betting groups. And if you're bored with your regular social media, go check out these groups because you can comment on the post, like them, dislike them, just like another social media post. So make sure you go check out what's going on in here before the game kicks off tonight.
All right, Megan, thanks. You know how we end this show. We couldn't fit everything into this nice, tight 60-minute show, so we have everything for you. We call it the data dump. How sad has this Denver running game been lately? The Broncos haven't had a player go over 100 yards rushing in a game in the last 2 seasons. The last man to do it, the L Train, Latavius Murray, against these Chargers back in Week 18 of 2022. That's a 31-game drought. It's Denver's longest streak since they went 38 games without one from 1980 to 1983, Claudia.
That's pretty bad.
It ain't good.
Justin Herbert on the other side having a great year when it comes to protecting the ball. He threw just his second interception of the season last week against the Bucs, breaking a streak of 357 pass attempts without one, which is wildly impressive when you think about the protection that he doesn't have. And Herbert's interceptions have been an indicator of LA's success recently. They're now 1-7 straight up and against the spread in their last 8 games when Herbert has thrown a pick, Trey.
Yeah, Denver's linebacker Nick Benito is having a great season, leading the team with 11.5 sacks on a team that leads the NFL in sacks. And last week he scored a touchdown for the second straight game. He became the first lineman or linebacker to score in consecutive games since soon-to-be Hall of Famer Luke Kuechly in 2015. And is the first player since J.J. Watt in 2014 to have at least 10 sacks and multiple touchdowns in a season.
He's got to feel good after that.
Yep.
Some player trends to keep an eye on tonight. Quentin Johnson has scored a touchdown in each of the Chargers' last 4 games as favorites. Cortland Sutton has scored a touchdown in each of his last 3 appearances against the Chargers. And Bo Nix has recorded 215 or more passing yards in 6 of the Broncos' last 7 games. And all of these you can find at the DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, so all that said and done, who are you favoring tonight?
Oh, God. Because it's not at 3, right? If I could get 3, I'd probably take the points. I'm leaning laying it with the Chargers.
Now, I'm taking the Chargers straight up to win in this one.
Okay.
They were embarrassed at home last week. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. This is a home game. It's Denver coming in. And I'm also for the drama because if Denver loses, then it really gets, we can get in tonight. Wait, what do we have to do now to get into the postseason?
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game tonight as we start Week 16. For Emerson Latzia, the big man Marshall Newhouse, and Claudia Bellafotto, I'm Trey Wingo. Thanks for watching the Pregame PowerUp and enjoy the AFC West showdown between the Chargers and the Broncos. And we'll be back here on Monday and all postseason long as well.